welcome.
A very happy International Women's Day to you, and it's been so inspiring to see the stories of women run throughout the news. And with me on set, I have three incredibly talented, powerful women who will be sharing their stories and, of course, giving us some words of encouragement and inspiration for the younger generation who are watching. So I'm going to be introducing them right away. Let's get right into it. This is Easy Friday. My name is Shiksha Arora. You can interact with us on social media at Shiksha Arora, at KBC Channel 1, and the hashtag to use is Easy Friday. So I'm going to be starting off with the lady who is right next to me. Her name is Engineer Grace, and of course she is vying to be president. We absolutely love that for you. So welcome, karibuni sana, Engineer Grace Muthoni Kagondu. You know, there's a lot to her name, including all the different accolades. In fact, during the break, when we were off air, I was asking them, what is the simplest way to introduce you? Because I think I would take an hour to introduce each and every one of them based on their accomplishments. So it's just so inspiring to see the level of education, the level of experience.
Yes.
It is just an honor to be with these three ladies. So thank you so much, you know, Engineer Grace. It's a pleasure having you. And happy International Women's Day to you.
Happy International Women's Day to you.
You look lovely in purple.
Thank you, and so do you. Thanks for having us here.
All right, of course, and then right next to her, we have Avente Mwongera, of course, Daktari as well, who is known for her beautiful qualities. This, by the way, a fun fact, in case you didn't know, she started her career as a journalist, a sports journalist at KBC. So welcome back home. It's a pleasure to have you here many years later. Now you're an author officially, and you write about conservation, climate change, and it's so brilliant to see all the things that you're doing. Happy International Women's Day to you.
Thanks so much, Ada. Happy International Women's Day to you too.
Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we have Dr. Sarah Olembo. She is with a Kenyan with over 30 years of experience in agriculture, of which 17 were actually with the African Union Department of Rural Economy and Agriculture. And of these 10 years, she was the Assistant Director of Plant Health and Phytosanitary Administration based in Cameroon, where she provided technical leadership to African countries in multilateral trade assistance projects regarding sanitary and phytosanitary requirements for plant health. So if I continue to go on,
I know
we will not finish. So which is why I want to just say karibuni.
Asante sana.
Thank you for being here, and
Thank you.
It's a pleasure hosting you three women on International Women's Day. You know, as we talk about why International Women's Day is so important in your view. I'm going to start off with you, Engineer.
International Women's Day, it's a day of celebrating. It's a day of celebrating what women have accomplished over the years. Women have brought so much into the world, but sometimes we take it for granted.
Absolutely.
They're our mothers, they're our sisters. They're expected to do ABCD. But putting a day aside to celebrate women, for me, especially this year, it's about celebrating inclusivity, inspiring inclusivity. And for me, it is it's very significant because many a time, women are not, sometimes they're not recognized for the spaces in which they can occupy.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of feeling like you're limited to this or another. So now we are being told the world is available for you. You don't have to be limited because you're a woman, you can only do A, B, or C. You can actually, the world is at your feet. Yeah.
I love
so
that.
I think it's a beautiful day to celebrate.
What about you, Daktari? What do you think? You know, what about all the different things that women have done, and what does that mean for you in terms of being a powerful woman yourself?
Thanks so much. I think I'll follow into what she has already said. It's about celebrating and appreciating what women have already done. Like, for example, sensitizing different people in the society, the role that women play that goes unspoken, and also the crucial role that they play in terms of complementing each other.
Right.
So in the society, we cannot have monopoly of ideas, but also be the part of both gender, both men and women, complementing each other in fostering development in the society, because it starts from home, where we have brothers, sisters, sons, and all that. So when we complement each other, we are able to start development. Now, I feel like today when we are celebrating women, it's about sensitizing the issues that are, or highlighting issues that are affecting women and they are not spoken. So it's important for such a day for these issues to be brought to the fore and also to have suggestions on how they can be addressed. So that now we can have a happy mother who leads to a happy home, and that fosters now success in the community, which starts now from the family to society, to community, then to society, and then globally. Because now if happiness is from home, where every person's voice is heard, their contribution is appreciated and acknowledged, then we can dare dream about development. So it's a day for me that it's an opportunity to talk about the challenges and opportunities that are there for women, then to set a pace for the younger children also to step in and continue with the development and contributing constructively to the development of our country, our continent, and our global, because now we are getting old. So we need to have those who are younger than us step in our shoes, but also to understand that their contribution matters a lot.
100%. Very well said. And what about you, Dr. Sarah? What are your thoughts on this particular matter in terms of, you know, how far women have come? And we still have a long way to go before we officially achieve that world society where we're equal. What about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, for me, I agree with what they have said, but in addition, I observe that this change is to be able to determine the progress made in all these areas that they have listed, and to call for change and to celebrate acts of courage and determination, but particularly by ordinary women who have played an extraordinary role in the history of countries and communities. So rural women, you know, for me is key. Secondly, we do commemorate this day, the 8th of March, to honor work that has been accomplished and also to raise awareness about gender disparities and discrimination, as well as promote global support for women. I think of that and looking at ourselves and then the age gap that there is between us and our children and our grandchildren, I feel that this is a day also to highlight those areas of need, especially in the younger population and the future generation, the gap that exists, especially in the age and the realities of life, that we should be able to mentor those younger generations to be able to take shape and also to fill the gaps that we observe that are existing so much, the disparity and the distance that there is between us and them. Because their time is very different, and also their desires and aspirations are different from ours. We lived with our parents at home and they mentored us very well, and that's why we have become resilient and doing what we are doing. But our children, sometimes they go to boarding schools right from the word go. And so they have no realities. Most of them have forgotten the languages, so to speak. They have forgotten the food that we eat. They can't relate to that. And so you find them eating junk. They are liking these, you know, pizzas and hamburgers and things that they buy. And that is the reason why we are here, to bridge that gap and to see how do we mentor them so that they can step into our shoes.
Absolutely, and I think mentorship is one of the key areas that, you know, we really need to focus on moving on, because as you've said, bridging the gap is something that is so important. Teaching these values that have been passed down from generations, from our forefathers, from our grandmothers, and of course our ancestors as well to us. And now it seems like this is something that we need to pass down to the generations to come. And how exactly do we do that? We have conversations with them, you know, we have I think talks like this, and we kind of bridge the gap just through conversation. So very well said, Dr. And you know, what do you think, apart from the fact that yes, there is a difference in the mindsets, there is a difference in the perspectives and views and opinions of the older generation and us? That's one of the challenges, I would say. But apart from that, what are the challenges do you think we have as women, especially in maybe the tech and, you know, the science industries? What do you think some of these challenges are that women are currently facing today? We'll start with you, Engineer.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think when you mentioned about the challenges that we have as tech women, the first thing I was asking myself is, okay, do tech women, science women have different challenges than non-tech women? And I thought the answer must be, and I can tell you the answer is yes. Okay. Yeah, definitely there's a difference. And the reason is simply because of the numbers. The number of women in the tech, in the sciences are not uni.
Right.
Yeah, we were just having a discussion with the Engineers Board of Kenya CEO, and she highlighted, for example, in the engineering sector, we are about only about 8%, 10% of the women of the population of qualified engineers, and
I feel like engineering is actually one of those, you know, careers where it is very rare to see a woman at the top.
Yes.
So you being here and, of course, you know, just doing all the great things you're doing. Congratulations, firstly, engineer.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a long journey to becoming the first vice president of IK.
Yes, brilliant.
Of course, aiming for the next level of president. Yeah, it's been a long journey, hard work, a lot of hard work. They always say that for a woman to move one step, you need to work like 5 times as much it's just so. So for me, the journey has been to leadership has been a very interesting journey. And let me just give it as an example. I began. I first of all got into an organization for professionals there, because we have got Institution of Engineers of Kenya. We also have the Architectural Association of Kenya. All these are associations where we have got people in the built environment as members. So that's how my journey started. I got into one of the positions. I got into a secretary. And while I was in secretary, then I got elected into the chairperson of AAK Engineers chapter. And actually that is where my leadership skills started honing.
Right.
And we did accomplish a lot, and the issue of mentorship was one of them. I did a lot of mentorship because that was one of our agenda items that we have to do. So I used to go to colleges, to universities. I remember going to Kenyatta University, University of Nairobi across the road, JKUAT, and other schools, just to mentor the. Of course, that time it was they're mixed. They're both men and ladies. So we are just mentoring them about engineering as a career and what they need to do, how they need to prepare for it, what are the subjects they need to excel in, and what to expect if they want to leave the college. So a lot of mentorship was taking place there, and we also did a lot of advocacy. I was very passionate about advocating for a better place for engineers, especially those who are upcoming, because we realize that engineering is a kind of a field that is not very well placed, if I may say so, in some sectors. And therefore, if you don't speak about it, then our issues don't get addressed. Yeah. The issue of collapsing buildings, sometimes people don't even know why do the buildings collapse, yet we have engineers.
Right.
Where are they? And you have to explain that the reason they're collapsing is precisely because the developers are not using the skills of engineers. So that kind of civic education. And we also used to advocate for better practices for consultants.
Okay.
I remember at some point our consultants were paying permits, business permits.
Yes.
And we had to lobby and say that they already pay for their practice license. They also have their, they've got other tools that protect them from their work, the risk policies. So they don't need to, again, pay for the business permits, which is for like a trade, you know, you're doing a normal business. So that was, we were successful in that, and I think many professions benefited, even the medicine, the doctors, the architects, and the quantity surveyors. So it was a cross-cutting kind of advantage, and I remember that that is actually how my leadership journey continued. And I want to say that after my stint at the Architectural Association of Kenya, and I want to say that even that leadership, I was being mentored by very serious engineers. And I can tell you my mentors were still men. Hardly did I get women to mentor me because they are not there. So I want to, I give, for example, Engineer Ashad Khan, who was one of my mentees, a very renowned engineer. Actually, he's done a couple of very interesting buildings. He's highly respected. He was one of my mentors.
That's amazing.
I had, at Howard Humphreys, actually I was working at Howard Humphreys Consulting Engineers. And we did a number of flagship projects in Nairobi, the Times Tower, CFC Bank, and a couple of others. So basically, the people who are my superiors, my principals, at that time were still men.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
But do you think that's changed now? Because, of course, we have people like yourself now.
Yes.
So I'm sure there has been some sort of progress when it comes to, I mean, I wouldn't say balancing the numbers, because we're far from there, especially in engineering, but I feel like there has been some progress.
There has been some progress, and today, if you want a mentor, if a young graduate wants a mentor from the university, it's very easy find a woman engineer to mentor her, and I'm always available. I'm one of those who has put out my hand. If you want a mentor and you want to grow in your career, I'll show you. Even if I can't, I'll tell you I'm not available. I'll show you how you can proceed about it.
Love that.
So I do mentorship a lot. And it's not as difficult as it was those days.
Okay.
And I must say that even today, when we were only 5 of us in a class of 65, today we are about 15 or about 30% of a class.
Good.
So things are looking up for the
Things
ladies.
are looking up and things are moving.
And leadership is one
There
of them
growth.
too. And now we are moving to leadership.
Great.
Yeah.
And what about you, Dr. Sarah? What are your thoughts on this? When it comes to tech, when it comes to science, when it comes to agriculture, what would you say have been some of the challenges that you have witnessed along the way in your journey?
Many challenges in agriculture,
Yeah.
especially for the rural woman. There have been very many. You know, for decades, our women could not do farming because seeds were taken away from them. I know seed is life.
Yes.
So when you take away production from the 50% of your producers, what do you expect? So the food insecurity, the hunger, in spite of the drought, and those other natural disasters, I think we did a bad thing to. Are we okay? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was rather unfortunate that had to happen. And so we lost a lot of crops, we lost a lot of biodiversity. We just laid back, and you can see what has happened.
Right.
To revive those seeds and to bring them back, especially in the face of climate change, is quite a very formidable task.
Okay.
But I'm glad that because when I was at African Union, I made connections and I introduced this agroecological organic initiative, which is still running in most of the countries because it's at the AU level. All the countries are subscribing to it. And my key flagship out of that was to bring in back the farmer managed seed systems, which are the domain of the rural woman. And that is what she knows, that is what she trusts, because these diseases have been proved through generations and generations, and they are sure of them. If you go back to COVID, what happened? There was no movement.
Right.
There were no flights. There were no markets. But because the women had seeds in their houses, in their pockets, that is how we survived in Africa, because we could access food in spite of what COVID had done to us.
Yes.
And so that farm managed seed systems has provided space for the rural woman now to come back into production, and also it has given them space to be able to voice their needs at that high level, because in that program, also in the organic agricultural program, we have got a program that is called African Women Leaders in Agroecology, where we do mentorship, and she's one of the mentors. I'm a mentor. And I'm proud to say that 2 of the ladies that I've mentored are CEOs now, in their own capacities. One, she's doing climate change and sustainability program globally. She's the CEO. She's Sally Awanda. And then I have another one called Judy. Judy Libaisi is in Eldoret, but she also has a CEO. Today she was on KTN, I think. Yes, with the governor of Kakamega, because of these land issues that women cannot access land, she has devised a method where she does vertical farming in small, cages and, areas where you still can produce at least food for the family. And so I feel proud that I've been able to deliver that and brought these 2 women into the policy space. And that's what we are trying to encourage, that if women are able to speak about their own problems themselves, then only then can they be heard.
It's very, very
they
empowering.
cannot delegate. They cannot delegate.
Absolutely empowering. And you actually mentioned that Dr. Mongera seems to be a mentee as well for one of, I guess, these...
A mentor.
A mentor, I beg your pardon. So what about you, Dr. Mongera? We've talked about the challenges, and maybe you can tell us about some of the growth that you've seen, the progress that you've seen in your field, and how things have changed over the years.
Okay, thanks so much. I think a lot has been done by those who have been there before us.
Yes.
And we've come to contribute to solutions to the challenges that are already there. And that those that are emerging because also of the technological times that we are in. These are all ball game of paradigm shift in terms of technology. I remember during our time, like when I said I started my career here at KBC, I was so passionate about this and that in terms of different aspects of news, there's sports, there's business. So I was so passionate about sports. Then I did it for a number of years. Then I said, now this agriculture, and we are talking about the backbone of every economy, and anything and everything that we do, we need to have food on the table.
Absolutely.
Now, when we are talking about food on the table, how is this food grown?
Yes.
We are also talking about this food insecurity. Africa is always known to have food insecurity. There is a lot of aid on this and that. It's about food. Then I asked myself, as a journalist, how can I contribute my skills to change the current situation whereby we are talking about perennial food insecurity? How can we use knowledge? And knowledge, we know knowledge is power. So how can I use the skills that I have to tell a story that can empower the farmers, can also influence the policies, and also can make them agribusiness dealers to also know how all of them can play their role effectively to change the dire situation of Africa having perennial food insecurities.
Yes.
So I shifted, I said, okay, let me be the one to tell the stories, because it's all about hunger, it's all about bizarre stories about Africa. And I said, okay, what can we, don't we have any positive story in Africa to talk about even innovations? We see even an innovation like M-Pesa, it came from Kenya, for example.
Right.
We are talking about fertile soils. We have fertile soils, and we have farmers who are so committed to do farming. We can see even there's a lot of stories of GMO. That's a story maybe for another day. So that means that most of the investors would want to invest in Kenya, in Africa, because of the fertile soil, the strategic positioning. Now, looking at all these things, as a communications person, so I looked at myself and how can I help to tell the story, work with different people, so that now from a point of understanding, we are able to change the story of having hunger throughout, and also be a source of exporting some products that can be found in Kenya, in Africa, for example. So that's when I started now telling the story of Africa in terms of reading the research, like people like Dr. Sarah can write when they write their research, because they are researchers and the rest. When they research, they write their stories, they write their report in technical language that is only left for them to understand. Now, how about the farmers who are the key beneficiaries? To understand that. How about the policymakers, because they need to understand what is the implication of this report and what are the recommendations that the government need to do, because also there is the commitment of the government to have policies that are working, operationalize these policies, so that now we can meet different international agreements and conventions that we have subscribed to, and various sustainable development goals. So all this happens when there is clear, effective communication that is simplified, that the farmers will understand. This research finding says that this type of soil is good to grow this kind of crop. So when they understand it now, it is still strategic. If it's about soil that is good for cassava farming, for example, or maize or beans, there's no grappling with the issue. But now they'll go ahead and plant the crop that is suited for that soil. If it's about technology, for example, there's a lot of people who are giving their stories of success, stories of change, in terms of the kind of businesses that they are doing and the crops that they are selling. They have in surplus in one region, the other region, they don't have such crops, because we have in different seasons. So using technology, there are various applications that people are putting in their stories, and now through the knowledge of using this application, packaging their stories, uploading there, they are able to change the narrative, to learn from each other, to know this season or this month I have this kind of crop. The other farmers from the other side, they have these vegetables. So through the use of various digital applications, platforms, farmers, policymakers, agribusiness, they are able now to know who is selling what, who has what, so that now there is the reduction of post-given harvest losses because of now selling the surplus crop.
That's amazing.
And the farmers now, they are able to tell their story of what they need, the kind of seed that they need. The story of Farmer Managed Seed System is about the indigenous seed. Where I work full-time, Africa Biodiversity Network, it's about, it's part of the story is to empower the farmers to stand and tell their own story of using the indigenous seed system, which has been proven over time to be resilient to even drought, to pest, and all that. And now they say the crops that they are farming through that system, they are able to, they are nutritious and they are resilient to even diseases and drought and all that. So with all this, it's me now to help the farmers tell their stories. When they tell these stories, now the policymakers are able to understand the testimonies that are coming from these farmers. How is it helping? Because the policies is about documenting and operationalizing that is working for the farmers and scaling it out.
Yes, yes.
So with all this now, it's about having strategic communication, knowing exactly what is required, what are the researchers saying about the solution to this.
Right.
Then simplifying this language from the researchers so that now the farmers also can understand and then the policymakers can understand what is it need for them
And
to
what
act
can we
and to play.
change? Okay.
And the role that they need to play, because now I cut across communication, policy, and advocacy
Okay.
on
Very
the continent.
interesting, actually.
So with all this now, the challenges that I was experiencing when I started my career, I'll speak the same language my fellow panelists are talking about, lack of mentors.
Yes, yes.
So with all this now, I naturally have a thirst for knowledge. I like reading widely. And like her, I was also mentored by men. And then using the skill and the knowledge that I have as a journalist, as a communications person, then I use that now to understand the language, the science jargon, and then simplify it using my knowledge and skills as a journalist, as a communicator, to pack in the story using different products, producing radio programs, documentaries, brochures, newsletters, magazines, all this, so that now it can meet to the needs and reach to different audiences and speak the language that they understand.
Absolutely. And
now
thank
with that now to address or to contribute to the solutions and to mitigate the challenges, also now I mentor. Like now, for example, I'm the treasurer of the Association of Media Women in Kenya.
Amazing.
I also mentor upcoming journalists so that now they can also identify their niche in communication and use their skills to contribute to solutions that are affecting the world today.
Okay.
At Africa Women Leaders in Agroecology, where we serve with her. We mentor young girls who are, in science, but now to sharpen their skills, to document their stories and tell their stories and help the different communities that they work with to tell their stories, because now we believe in people telling their own story, how they know it and when they want to tell it.
Absolutely. And I think with that, like, I have to say that there is a lot that has been said here, which is quite inspiring. It is eye-opening, to say the least. We could have this conversation for much, much longer, but obviously due to time restriction, we do have to wrap it up. And maybe literally in 10 seconds, as we wrap up, I would just like each of you to just wish our viewers a very happy International Women's Day, because my director has been telling me that we need to wrap up. But I want to give you that opportunity to just say, thank you for watching and thank you for just being here. So maybe you can just thank the viewers for, I guess, being here, part of KBC Channel 1.
Thank you very much, KBC Channel 1, for giving us this opportunity to be on stage with you. I want to thank you also for engaging us so effectively this evening. And my parting shot is that as we celebrate International Women's Day today, women are now making progress, and they're happy to partner with our male counterparts in making a difference, creating innovations that transform the society for enduring impact. That is the message that I want to leave the audience with. And as I stand here today, I'm vying for the position of President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and I have the support of, when I vied into Vice President, I had the support of very many members, and I fulfilled my mandate. And I'm now looking to the next level, because leadership does not know gender.
Absolutely.
In the time of inclusivity, leadership does not know gender, and therefore, if you believe in it, if you know that it's time for us to change, LSK has made a statement by electing a woman president. AAK has made a statement, they have a woman president. IQSK have a woman president. I do believe that IEK is not going to be left behind. So on March 21st, vote for the lady, vote for Engineer Grace Muthoni Kagondu. I'll be there for you. Thank you.
And with that, we have to say goodbye. Next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much for watching this particular show. We've been talking to women leaders, we've been talking to engineers, doctors, and it's been quite an inspirational conversation that we've had here. So International Women's Day officially ends here. And Shiksha Arora signing out. I'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.